Greetings.
Greetings. Welcome ye to Film Gazers, a podcast focusing on the science fiction, horror, fantasy trinity, and 20th century entertainment. I'm Steph.
I'm Jess. We be cousins slash besties. Join us as we reminisce, discuss, and review films from ye childhood. I'm pretty impressed with that one, actually.
Yeah, you did. You did really well.
I summoned Muppet Treasure Island.
It was given Muppet Treasure Island, and I loved it. Meowdy.
Howdy.
So we are in March. We're doing March Madness, guys. Of course, we have today's episode, and then we'll be rounding out the month with our 100th episode of Film Gazers. And we're going to make it the cable guy.
I feel like it's appropriate.
Definitely. And one of a big childhood favorite of ours that we shared and watched a lot.
Over and over. And still quote a lot of.
Yeah. Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. And I feel like I just watched it like last year. Like wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it's probably I'll have to like kind of really think about it later when we do the episode. But yeah, I don't think it's been super long.
What's the first quote that pops in your head from Cable Guy right now off the top of your head?
It's not really like a quote, but it's just the like
at the medieval time.
Medieval times. So then, but yeah, I'm doing like the Star Trek battle music.
Like mine is the password is nipple.
Password is. Oh my goodness. Now I'll have to watch it again to like really immerse myself back into all the dialogue and
all the dialogue, all the richness of it.
Phenomenal dialogue.
Oh man.
Anyway, this isn't that episode. What you've been watching, what you've been doing.
So still listening to Stray Kids.
Oh, I know. I have been too. I have had Phoenix stuck in I woke up literally with the song Phoenix playing in my head this morning. We're gonna rise up again.
I have a new one stuck in my head every day. It's a different one every morning when I wake up. I'm like,
what is my Stray Kids oracle
What is my
card?
Stray Kids? Yes. Ooh, they probably have that.
You need to make a watercolor.
Yes. I wish I was better at drawing people though.
Well, maybe just do symbolism. You could do their little plushies.
Oh, that's a good one because I can definitely do animals better. Especially the kawaii style. That's a good one. Yes.
I'm an idea person.
I know, man.
I don't execute them, but I come up with good ones.
Sometimes I can execute one or two and then give up.
Like I said, my dream job would actually be to work for like a think tank.
Yeah, because I can come up with ideas and slogans too. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, like random think tanks, not like think tanks to solve like actually anything substantial, but like fun ones.
Fun ones or like marketing kind or themes. So anyway, still listening to Stray Kids. I could listen to Felix all day. The other day I was in Walmart and I always like to have my headphones on. And it's been a while since I listened to my I mostly listen to him in the car, you know?
Yeah.
And hearing his voice with my headphones, I was like, ooh, I can't listen to this right now in public.
You're like blushing as you're.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's like giving me goosebumps.
Felix, it's like you're whispering in my ear.
It was. I was like, I'm smiling like an idiot walking around Walmart. Oh, so that was funny. So I was scrolling on Instagram the other day, and what was advertised to me was like a K-pop fantasy book called A World Apart. Because a lot of the authors like to like be like, hey, if you like this, this, and this, you'll probably like my book. And I was like, that looks interesting. So
Now
of
you're
course
fully
I bought
reading
it.
it.
Yeah. I was like, out of all the other books that I have to read, the one that I
I'm
haven't
gonna
finished
buy
yet,
this random one that was just
I was
advertised to
like,
me.
this one was literally just advertised to me, and I was really hoping, like in my head, I was like, oh, I would love like to read something about, and then it just, I guess I thought it to the universe, and I was like, hey, here it is, right here for you. So it's called The World Apart, and it was like $5 on my Kindle, and I'm already halfway through it. I just bought it yesterday.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so I've been reading that. I finished Glow Up. I needed some mindless reality TV to
Mm-hmm.
fill a void, and I wanted it to be a little bit more less feel good, more drama.
Drama.
A little bit trashy. I need a little bit of trashy reality to
Yeah.
fill that Jerry Springer Maury Povich void from my childhood.
Yeah, I do feel like there is that void sometimes in my life where I'm like, man,
Hmm.
I haven't watched anyone be really trashy on TV.
Yeah, I need to fill that void.
Need to
So
fix.
Love is Blind has been that void for
Oh,
me.
I've never watched them, but I hear they're
Oh,
pretty
you
crazy.
got to. They're so good. I've been watching season 10.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I'll see random clips and like, oh, some of the guys are just so cringy and like,
That's why I love it, because it is so cringy. Sometimes I have to watch it with my hands like covering my face, like,
yes.
oh.
Secondhand embarrassment.
Yes.
No, I feel you though on the just like I've just been wanting to watch kind of mindless stuff or things that I don't really have to super pay attention to. Because I'll admit, I did nothing this week. Like, I went home from work and I pretty much like cooked dinner and then it was like, I'm just going to melt on the couch and watch like mindless TV.
Hmm.
But we did finish The Expanse and it was good, but it was disappointing because I guess it was in 2021 when
Hmm.
the last season was being filmed and it was like with COVID and everything. So only 6 episodes were released. And it's kind of teasing you about this one thing with like some of the other planets and that ring and stuff. And also there's like a lot going on basically like in our universe. And they tie up this thing that's happening within our universe with like this terrorist kind of person or building an army type thing, but you don't get any resolution with the aliens like and on these other planets and the things that kind of had been setting this up because apparently they just end the season, it just ends, the whole show ended on that sixth
Ugh.
episode. And like I said, you get a little bit of an ending, but it's not. Apparently there was still like they didn't cover like 3 more books in the series, so I'm like, I'm just gonna read all the books
Hmm.
because it's so good. Like they did so well, and yeah, that last season I was like, man.
Hmm.
Like I said, I got a consolation prize ending, but it just I don't understand why it wasn't picked back up. Like there are such amazing sci-fi shows. I feel like that always something with their like funding or this or that, and it always goes a little downhill on that last season. And I'm like, why? Like
I know it, and it's not usually the ratings. Like it's not usually that.
it's always, I think, like the production companies and stuff. Like I don't know why when like Paramount's sitting with like a million Star Treks, like obviously sci-fi sells and can
Mm,
have a lasting impact, like so I wish they would take some of the sci-fi shows more seriously that when they're of
right.
that kind of quality. And obviously if they're based on books, like you already have a good solid story, that you're basing it on. So eh. So to cleanse my palate after that, I watched Harriet the Spy.
Nice.
Poor Michelle Trachtenberg.
I know. I totally forgot she passed
Yeah, she had passed
away.
away. I know it was so sad because that movie was like everything to me when it came out. And it was the
Hmm.
first Nickelodeon movie ever made. I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that
And
either.
yeah, so apparently it was the first. It's kind of loved and hated. You either love it or you kind of hate it, it seems
Oh no,
like
I
when
always
I
loved it too.
I loved it. And then reading also, not reading, I'm sorry, because it was a book too. I was reading some articles about the movie, and it's very clear that she's probably on the spectrum.
Michelle or Harry the Spy?
Harriet the
Oh, okay.
Spy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like because she eats her tomato and mayonnaise sandwich every day for like 5 years. It's like what they said. And like,
You're like, oh,
and
this is very autism coded.
Yeah, it was. And just like I said, watching it as a kid, like I was the Notebook kid for sure. Like that was the thing I was like I did, so and then like the Spine, and like I used to sneak, and I would like sneak into places sometimes I shouldn't have been. Like I was very much like into that. That was a fun watch again though, because I hadn't watched it probably since I was a young adult. Or even a teenager. Watch more Sabrina the Teenage Witch as well. And
Nice.
the OC. So a lot of the things I've been watching are things I literally watched when I was a teenager. And then little Bob's Burgers thrown in. And I'm almost finished with Dracula, an audiobook. So
Total
yeah,
comfort.
yes, just a lot of comfort stuff and things I kind of like, and just trying to get through the week. It's the start of our season and work has just been really busy. So I'm trying to like get back in the swing of things. I bought myself a planner so I can be a little on top of it. And then the first
Nice.
week, I literally wrote nothing in it. So
I have so many planners, and I will plan things for like maybe a month, but I'll do it in advance, and then I'll do it for one day, and then I'm done.
yeah, no, I gotta be better. That's one of my goals this year. So that's what I'm gonna do later today.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
We did. Well, it wasn't me really. It was Jess came up with April's theme. So I think it'll be fun if we go ahead and tease that. We won't give you the titles yet as we have not picked them. Um,
Telling our secrets.
Keep your secrets then.
Don't spill no beans to me.
Yeah. It's going to be called Spring Forward, and it's going to be time travel films. So I think that'll be very fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So in this episode, we watched 2019's The Lighthouse. This one is a newer one for us, but I'd been wanting to watch it, so it worked out.
And neither of us have seen it before. So.
Yes, first time watch.
FTW.
It's actually a good little acronym there.
I know.
We're going to take it over. This is also my first Robert Eggers film because I haven't seen The Witch yet. So
I haven't either. I got into a wormhole reading about it though. Right
yes. Yes. It was directed by Robert Eggers, written by Robert Eggers and Max Eggers. Yes, they are brothers. It was produced by Rodrigo Teixeira, Jay Van Hoy, Robert Eggers, Lorenzo Santana, and Yori Henley. It's starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. Cinematography was by, I don't know if it would be Jaren or like Yaren, like if the J is silent, Blaschke. And it was edited by Louise Ford. Music by Mark Corvin. This is an A24 film, which I feel like has really been making strides in the industry, like over the last decade or so with a lot of their different horror movies and things like that. It was released at Cannes on May 19th, 2019, and then in the US on October 18th of the same year. The running time is 109 minutes. The budget was 11 million and the box office was 18.3 million. So it at least made some money. So much of the story is inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's unfinished tale of the same name, and also a old lighthouse story. So it's a lighthouse policy in 1801 that was brought about after what was called a gruesome episode, or called the Smalls Lighthouse Tragedy, in which two men, Thomas Howell and Thomas Griffith, the two-person team that managed the lighthouse, they were publicly known to quarrel, and then Griffith died in a freak accident. So Howell feared that like if he just discarded the body, they would think that he like actually murdered him. So he just kind of let the body hang out, to like in the area. So that way when people did come, like they wouldn't, hopefully wouldn't think that he had tried to get rid of them and stuff. And so the body began to decompose. And Howell built a makeshift coffin for the corpse and lashed it to an outside shelf. But stiff winds blew the box apart, and the body's arm fell within the view of the hut's window. And as the winds would blow and the gusts would catch the arm and move it in a way that made the appendage appear to beckon.
See, that's his guilty conscience. He killed him.
It says, in spite of his former partner's decaying corpse and working the lighthouse alone, Howell was able to keep the house's lamp lit. So when he was finally relieved of duty, the impact of the situation was so emotionally taxing that his friends said that they never recognized him, like again, kind of. It really changed him. And it helped make a lighthouse policy change because is like a governing body of lighthouses. So the lighthouse team rosters have to be of 3 people. And that continued until the automation of British lighthouses until the 1980s. So,
Damn.
yeah, that both the men were named Thomas is what Eggers recalled kind of compelled him to create a film with an underlying story of identity as well. And around that time, there was this concept like that he had for this film, but he had to stop kind of working on it because it was when he finally got an investor for The Witch, because it took him forever to get that going, because he is known to not really compromise on things that he doesn't want to compromise on. Like he kind of chooses the things in his work that he's like, no, this is how it has to be or it's not going to be done, kind of thing, you know.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah,
commendable.
it's admirable. Like he just waits, you know. He's just like, oh, I don't like that offer. I'll wait until one comes where it's kind of done how I want it to be done. So that movie obviously elevated like his directing profile and how he was known. So then he was kind of able to exploit now his credibility to be able to push to get the Lighthouse funded. So him and his brother resumed after that, working on the drafts and everything. They did a really rigorous research period. Robert immersed himself in photos of 1890s England, a lot of 1930s maritime themed French films, a lot of symbolist art, and also the work of Sarah Orne Jewett, a novelist best known for her color work set in coastal Maine. She wrote very dialect heavy writing style, and that's what provided the cadences of how the lead characters speak in the film. Also, that's pointed out is the Prometheus myth, where Thomas Howard and Ephraim Winslow take the role of the Titan who steals the forbidden knowledge, which is the light, from the gods. And then after killing the keeper, Willem Dafoe, Winslow seeks the fire of the lighthouse, which results in his downfall with the final scene where the seagulls are consuming his liver, which is directly mirroring Prometheus's eternal punishment from the Greek tale. Yes. So, because when I was watching, I was like, this movie's fucking crazy, but it also felt vaguely familiar. And what, like, I felt like I was like, I'm supposed to be getting something out of this that I think I know, but I don't know. And then so I immediately like Googled Lighthouse Greek tragedy. And then because then when you get to the end and he has William Dafoe's little speech as well, like then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is like pretty much directly referencing that. It was shot in black and white, and like actual black and white too, like how black and white film was done, because it was shot in 35 millimeter and it has a nearly square aspect ratio, like a 1-to-1. I'm sorry. 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that it looks like the silent films kind of from that era as well, with it being like it's like a 119 or something like that is what they call it. And with that, the film was nominated for Best Cinematography at the 92nd Annual Academy Awards and the 73rd British Academy Film Awards. Eggers has said that he wanted to build the lighthouse station because, of course, he wanted to have the most control possible of where to put the cameras and how everything looked. But he's quoted as saying, but this is an expensive black and white movie, and I need to be responsible. So I need to see if there was a lighthouse station or a lighthouse tower already available that we could use. They looked all over the place and there just wasn't one that quite fit the bill. So they had found one finally where they could at least build the tower. And he's again quoted saying, of course, people didn't think we were going to go through with it. They were like, oh, you'll build part of it and then like extend it with CG. But there's no fun in that. So it's all legit, all built. That's a real set. Yeah. Like it was also a very, very rough film to shoot. You know, the one shot when they were like waiting for the relief boat and they're just standing in that wind getting like pelted by the rain and like, you know, it's just awful. That was literally the actual weather. That was not like done in any way with movie tricks. That was just what it was like being there. So
Nice.
he's quoted saying, so that's not comfortable, right? He was like, the set wasn't very jovial. The scenes were really, really difficult and demanding, and the conditions were punishing, but we all signed up for it. So yeah, apparently it really, I think, wore a lot of them down.
I can see that. Just being in that weather alone is like depressing.
Exactly. And then, already even the set and the house, they did a good job too of making it seem so shoddy, like that it's just been,
Mm-hmm.
wind damaged and waterlogged and like, and they probably were like that the entire time. So I found a cool article that was an interview with the cinematographer, the Yaron Blashka. It's really cool. So I recommend kind of looking into all of it. I found them on like Vogue.com, the wiki. This was on a cinematography website. And they asked him, how did you begin to hone in on the visual language of the film? And he said early on, the first thing that Rob would say that comes to him is the mood and the atmosphere. Then the story comes from that. So when he pitched the movie to me, well, before it was written, he said it would be very claustrophobic movie set in a lighthouse. And then he said it'll be black and white with a cherry on top. And the cinematographer says at the time he was like, I didn't quite understand that at first. He was like, but eventually I came to understand that it was classically black and white, not a color movie desaturated. It's
Mm.
dark with high contrast. All of the lighting is optimized. Sorry, I really struggled with that one. For black and white. And they asked if he had shot 35 millimeter before. And he said that he shot nothing but film until about 2010. And that was when everything went digital. And I guess it's called Alexa. And he said everything went that way. But he was pretty confident in like shooting film. He was like, but this is 15 years later. He was like, and you're used to having a monitor to like check everything. He was like, so it took him about 2 weeks to get used to shooting on actual film again. And he says, like, you have to calibrate your eyes looking for things, like as you're actually filming, but not through a monitor, like you're more in the moment, basically. He also said, which this is just a little like, I guess, shop talk, but I thought it was super interesting. So black and white film has a much less latitude than color film. So a Kodak Double X came out in 1959. And as far as he was aware, Kodak hadn't touched it since. So it's really old technology. And instead of having 6 stops of shadow latitude, you only have about 4.5. So he even has like less like kind of light to work with, in a sense. So you have to start then using a lot of light. And so he said black and white film is like really sensitive. So when you're shooting on film, you're working with an ISO 400. So that's kind of like the lighting source, like if you do any photography and stuff. And then the digital that they use now called Alexa is like 800. And they were shooting at 80 ISO, which is extremely low. And then so he's like, you need 10 times more light. So he was like, it might look like a dark movie to everyone else, but he was like, it was blinding on set at times.
Oh,
Because
damn.
yeah, because like old school black and white film, like that's why like their makeup would be so cakey and everything, because you have to get that white light to bounce, otherwise they could look real like craggy and stuff. And like, so it was really hardcore. So they had to so not only were they doing all this in this weather, and then they're shooting in actual black and white. So you have these crazy stage lights on you. And he said that I felt bad for the actors because they were always seeing spots. Willem and Rob would be looking at each other, but they could barely see each other sometimes
Oh
because
my
of the
God.
lighting. So I think that's a testament to even how good of acting they were doing.
Yeah. Because I
To
mean, the
be
acting was really good
yeah.
in this movie.
But they were just like halfway blinded the whole time. Like, so,
Yeah.
so I feel like even their descent into madness was shared even while filming this movie.
Just under the conditions.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was some of the fun facts. There was a lot more you could look into. A lot of people really taking apart the thematics because this is a crazy movie. So you could take it a lot of different ways. But with that, Jess is going to take it away with the You Googled Summary.
2 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Wake and Ephraim Winslow, descend into madness, paranoia, and violence while stranded by a storm on a remote New England island in the 1890s. As supplies run out, their isolation fuels hallucinatory and potentially supernatural events.
Nice. Nice. All right. So this was our first time seeing this film. So we're going to really talk about maybe what expectations were, if you had even like heard of it much beforehand, anything like that. Let you go
I
first, Jess.
knew Dave had seen it before, but I didn't really remember anything he had said about it. And then I remember seeing one kind of like review or something in passing, and it said something about a mermaid. So I was like, either he's going crazy and like having visions of a mermaid is what I was assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Or I knew that there was some kind of like descent into madness, but I didn't realize anything else about it, that it was like all black and white, or that it
Oh,
literally
okay.
just had the two of them in it.
Yeah. So you're like, this is new to me. I was aware that it was black and white and just the two of them. And I remember watching the trailer for it, I think around the time maybe when I heard about it, because I really like Willem Dafoe.
Who doesn't?
So yeah. And Robert Pattinson's been, I feel like, really trying to get into his acting chops and everything. So I was like, okay. And then it's an Eggers film, which I'd heard about The Witch at the time, but hadn't watched it yet. But I knew it was being like talked about a lot. And that, yeah, but that was kind of the extent. And I was excited for it with it being filmed in the black and white. Like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is what cinema is, like there is a distinction sometimes. Like, and I know people get upset and they're like, oh, that's gatekeeping, but I don't think it's gatekeeping. I think it's just, you can go
There's
with
different categories.
yeah, you can go and make the intent of making a cinematic kind of art, film like this is, or you can go the more entertainment route and you're like, I'm going to make a movie, and I don't think that's wrong. Like, I don't think either one of those is wrong. I like both of them. So
it just depends on the style and like what you're
yeah,
going for.
but this one definitely is like, I'm like, this is like a piece of art. Like I get it. Like in that respect, the technical, elements of everyone and skill sets that were involved in making it were kind of more of what I was aware of, but I didn't know exactly how batshit it was going to be.
Right. You know what it reminded me of now that I'm thinking about it? Do you remember in Gilmore Girls when Kirk makes his movie?
No, I don't think so.
It was pretty funny, and it's in black and white and basically filmed like that.
That's funny. No, I don't remember at all.
Definitely filmed in like an art house style movie.
All right. Well, let's just get into it, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Straight from the get-go, we're gonna let you know that this isn't one of those movies where you're going just through a specific plot. As we explained in the fun facts and everything, you know what the inspiration was for, and it's kind of is, the story of Prometheus. Ultimately, this is a slow-paced film. You kind of almost go into a descent of madness yourself while you're watching it, because there are times where you're like, why am I watching this? Like, what is
like, oh, this feels
gonna happen? Yeah. And then it's also like, do I care what happens? Because they're both kind of pieces of shit, like it sets it up in a way though where your curiosity does get the better of you, and you're like, I gotta see how this plays out. It has instant Silent Hill type vibes with the foghorn and all of the lighting in the very beginning, if you are a Silent Hill fan. And I could see how that foghorn would also just drive you into madness.
Hell Yes.
No way. That is a running theme throughout the film. Is just this foghorn, that they gotta have to like just suffer through. And it is so loud and just constant. It would be maddening. Yes, they are correct. So basically, you get that Robert Pattinson's character. You find out eventually that he says his name's Ephraim Winslow, and he is coming to this far off lighthouse in New England to be, I guess, the other worker there. They call them wikis, I guess. So
Yes. I thought that was funny.
yeah, coming to help the senior wiki, I guess, which is Willem Dafoe's character, also known as Thomas Wake. We also don't find out his name till way later. And much like Brokeback Mountain, I felt like this was very similar.
Yes, I got that vibe too.
Yeah, it has the meat where they don't really talk at first at all. Like it's very much a like, this is how men work.
Yes. Silently.
Yeah, and even the introduction of like, so he's getting set up in the house and he's kind of looking around it, and then he goes up to his room, and Willem Dafoe's just like taking a piss in the piss pot and just farting, and that's like our first intro. And so, surprisingly enough, this movie is also a comedy for sure.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, it is like it had just some ridiculous scenes of like comedic effect in it that you're like, what the fuck is going on? Because even in my notes, I was like, was that him farting or was it just supposed to be like the squeaky floor? Like, I couldn't
Oh no,
even,
I
like,
definitely got that it was his farting.
yeah. And I was like, is this like a domination thing? Like, I'm in charge. I'm going to fart the first thing I meet you and I'm pissing. Or was this like, yeah, I'm like, or is it meant to be funny? Like, I'm like, where is this going? So the very first scenes, like, you're pretty intrigued. And then we see Robert Pattinson finds like a carved like mermaid that was like slit like in the mattress and like hidden in there.
Hmm.
And so you're like, okay, what's that about? Because you could tell it was like maybe the former person who worked there. It was theirs, possibly. The most of what you get is he does ask him kind of like, so what happened? And then he's like, the guy went mad and said that the lighthouse, was like an enchantment and, all this other stuff. But it almost feels like he's just describing himself and what he believes.
Yes, exactly.
And so immediately too, you kind of know that you have like an unreliable narrator aspect of like how it's being shot because you kind of don't know what is reality and what's not.
Hmm.
And what are they actually seeing and or are they actually saying that? But early on, he won't drink the liquor or whatever with Willem Dafoe. And I don't know, I didn't see anything I was reading because I feel like this descent into drunkenness also is like a big like theme throughout the story
Right.
because he's only drinking the water, and the water's bad though because I guess there's like, I'm like, is there a dead body in there, or is
Mm.
was my curiosity, I'm like, did he kill the guy and like throw him? But then like later they show the guy's head in the trap.
Yeah, the crab trap.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, well, did he throw his body in the cistern and then he threw his head in the crab trap to catch like stuff? But you don't know. You don't know if he actually saw that. And the whole movie is like that. It's just kind of a mind fuck. It kind of starts a little more normal, but not, like I said, not really, though. Like, it has these weird little beginning scenes and yeah, basically him being like, oh, you can drink, I don't mind, almost like pressuring him, which to me, that
Hmm.
was like red flag number one. Like,
Yes.
if anyone pressures you to drink, yeah, because he's like, oh, I'll toast, but I'm not going to drink. It's not in the rules or whatever. So he
Hmm.
almost comes across as he's like this really like goody goody rule guy kind of.
Right.
And so you take his character a little differently than kind of what he
Turns out to be.
comes. Yeah. So Willem Dafoe seems to be like, okay, like he kind of is showing him a little, I don't know, respect or just understanding of like, okay, I'll still toast to you putting water in it. And then the water tastes like shit or like piss or I don't know, whatever, evidently. And that's when I guess he's like, oh, that's why I'm drinking or something. Is how I took it, because he's like laughing at him and stuff. But it's just these kind of awkward scenes between them when they're eating. And there's a point where you see Willem Dafoe up there and he's just naked staring directly into the light like a drunk little
Hmm.
moth.
Like a drunk little moth.
And they're kind of building up to that where Robert Pattinson is doing his job and it is grueling, laborious work. And the shots and the lighting, all in the black and white, just I think really they did a good job of when they said they wanted it to feel claustrophobic and like almost this intense pressure. And you
Mm-hmm.
do feel that even though the scenes, they do kind of trudge along, because that's kind of what this movie is him trudging through this situation.
I mean, just him carrying that giant bottle of oil or kerosene or whatever.
Yes.
Ugh. I was like, that's a good way to get a hernia.
Yeah. And then he tells him, he's like, what are you, a fucking idiot? Here's the like oil pan or the little
Right.
oil thing. He's like, you can bring that back down there. So I feel like that they're giving you the impression that Willem Dafoe is almost gaslighting him
Right.
at every moment, because there'll be scenes where he's like, why did you do that when you had this? And I'm like, I don't think he told him that. And then also he
Mm-hmm.
had it up there like hidden. I don't know. Or maybe he's like, you should have come up here and looked for it and knew. Eventually they, like I said, they go back and forth between kind of like all these menial tasks and the things he's supposed to be doing, and then they're like crazy dinners, and they start getting further and further crazier as the 4 weeks progress. Like he does a good job of not drinking for a long time, but then it's supposed to be the night that it's his last night is when he finally pushes him to like actually drinking with him.
And what I think is dumb is like, why would you get that drunk? Because maybe the relief did come in the morning, but you weren't there to meet them or something.
Yes, and they even mentioned that where he's like, "Oh, we probably slept through it," which I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. Why would you do that?" Like I could understand having a drink or two, but like they start slamming it. And even weirder is he starts slamming and drinking like heavily with this guy that he's already kind of wary about after the point of where he's having those weird mermaid dream things. And
Mm-hmm.
then he had already slapped him because he was like, I saw you being mean to some of the seabirds. Like, don't do
Yeah,
that. Like, that's
yeah.
bad luck. And then when he's like, oh, blah, 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 or kind of giving him some back talk, he fucking slaps the shit out of him. And then,
He's like, don't mind me, lad. Don't mind me
yeah, yeah,
none.
don't mind me none. And he's like,
My favorite,
Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs. My favorite word that he used was yanked.
Yes, yank. I was like, oh, I feel that's kind of Southern. And mind you, and then this is the big part, is because there's a time where Robert Pattinson forgets his cigarettes in Lighthouse, when he was doing that big project or whatever. And so he goes up there to get his little ciggies. And then he's never been allowed to go up in the actual lighthouse part. On like the very first day, he's curious to it. And the guy is kind of like, oh, no, no, no. Like, I'm the one in charge of the lighthouse. You're the new guy. Like, stay in your place, kind of, is how
Mm-hmm.
it's first like taken. And then it progresses to where he's almost like, this is my job. Like, this is who I am. Like, she's like me wife, to where you're like, okay, this guy's like a little too attached to the White House,
Right.
the lighthouse thing.
The wife house.
Yeah. And then he keeps the key with him. It's locked. He's like prevented him once or twice when even he was like, oh, I just wanted to look up there. And so Willem Dafoe's working his like, because he does like the overnight shift kind of basically. And okay, there's like some slimy stuff that like falls down. I'm like, is that jizz? Like, is he just jerking off up there?
That's what
But
I was assuming.
then it shows like the weird tentacle stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, oh, maybe he is. And this is when you really start getting more obvious, I felt like Greek references to the, like kind of stuff. Cause he almost looked like, yeah, like I felt like they made him like almost like Poseidon-esque or like a male
Right.
Ursula, like in different
Yeah, yeah,
moments.
yeah, yeah. So I
And
was wondering if
so,
it was that or if that was the creature that like he was like fucking.
right. Or was he just like fucking an octopus up there?
Right. That's what I was saying.
Like, you don't
Or
know.
was Robert Pattinson already going crazy at this point and he saw the tentacles and the guy was just jacking off up there and that was his like shit coming through the.
Yeah, right. I know. So yeah, so you just don't know. But after all of that, and even if he is going crazy or not, then he's like, yeah, I'll get like crazily drunk with this man.
Yes. Okay. So if I would have saw that, if I
Yeah,
was
I would have
in his
not ever
position,
drank.
I would have never drank. But if I would have saw that, I might have been like curious too, and like, okay, what the fuck is going on up here? But then I would never go back again.
No,
I would
exactly.
be like, I'm gonna stay as far away from this motherfucker the rest of the time I'm here. This guy's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
He's like jacking off to a light. It's a fetish I didn't know about. That's a totally different meaning to you're gonna go blind.
Yeah. They just really, this is when it's really ramps up on the crazy because like I said at first, the first half is very much of the work grind, and there's like a somewhat normalcy, a veil of normalcy trying to be there. And then this is where it just gets even crazier because they missed the relief or whatever, like they didn't come, or it was just they didn't come because it was so badly storming, so they're delayed. So that's when he's just kind of walking, and then and this is where you're like, did he hallucinate this, or did he find this weird vagina mermaid? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm
or
assuming he's hallucinating that,
or
but
is this
like,
also a commentary of like the madness that like straight men go through of not getting to have sex? Like, I just don't get it. I'm like, it's been like 5 weeks. Like, I can
right.
see why Willem Dafoe's crazy because he's been there like the whole time or whatever. But like, why is Robert Pattinson going crazy just after like 5 weeks? Like that kind of crazy. Like, I don't know.
That's how I felt too. Cause I was like, was it supposed to be way longer than 5 weeks? Cause it didn't feel like it. Like I read another summary and it was saying that like, well, yeah, I guess even that one I read as their supplies run out. I'm like, but how far gone were their supplies?
Well, I think it's like they're supposed to have enough for 4 weeks, and then like the people come and like I guess one of the guys will get relieved. Like there'll be like a lighthouse switch, like guys will take turns or whatever. And then I guess more supplies are dropped off. So I could understand, like, yeah, after the 4 weeks, you're gonna be like, oh shit, our supplies are low. And this is when the gaslighting starts, though, too, because there's one moment when, I mean, it seems like they're drinking excessively, though. Like, there's moments where they're like drinking and it's just like going all over their faces,
Right.
like it doesn't seem like they are conserving any. And then, like I said, Willem Dafoe even kind of gaslights them later because he's like, oh, well, I told you we were low on supplies and you just kept going crazy and
Mm-hmm.
gluttonous. But it
Mm-hmm.
almost seems like Willem Dafoe is. So then you can't trust yourself. Like that's what this movie does, is it makes you not be able to trust what you're seeing or even what you think. So it's
Yeah.
like making
They
you
flip
also
flops.
crazy while watching.
Because at first, like Robert Pattinson's character, I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of feel for him. Like, he just wants to make some money, get his land, to live away from people.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, you're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Because finally, during these drunken binges, because then they just start, like I said, it's just a fever dream of, like I said, like weird manual labor scenes and like, oh, and then at one point he had beat a seagull to death against the
Yes,
rocks when
that
he
was
was
pretty
trying.
intense.
I did not like that
I
scene
didn't like that. I was like, oh,
because
goddamn, poor
I
seagull.
really, I really like seagulls. Yeah. I was like, I don't like that.
I'm okay with them. I like get freaked out if like large birds fly around me.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? But
But I wouldn't try to like, I think birds are cool and I wouldn't try to hurt them.
well, I know because in the very beginning, he was just standing in his way, like, what's up? I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's a seagull right here. Like, hey, dude, like,
I'd be
how's
like,
it
oh, cool. Let me
going?
see how close I can get to it. That's how
Yeah,
I'd be like, or I'd be
yeah.
like, oh, shoo shoo, or let me get some
I'm
bread
like, oh,
for
yeah,
you.
like, oh, I'll feed you, but whatever.
Yeah.
That could also be argued, though, of like that was the beginning of the end, too, when he kills the seagull, because that's when things
Yes,
start getting a little
definitely.
crazier.
But I believe in like, there's a reason for like folklore and superstitions.
Yeah, that's true. And this is also when the seams start coming apart on both of their kind of like backstories, if you will, because we get a night when they're so drunk that Robert Pattinson's like, oh, my boss Winslow. And so then you kind of realize, oh, wait, he took his boss's identity. Like that's sounds like
Hmm.
that's not his name. And then also they have Willem Dafoe, like kind of changing the tales up about how he lost his leg. One time it's like scurvy and gangrene, and then another was he broke it and it had to be lost. I will say Robert Pattinson's acting in this was not as good as Willem Dafoe's. There
Oh, for
are
sure.
moments when he loses his accent. Or like I feel like like how he's supposed to be talking.
But I think that might have been on purpose.
I was wondering if that was a conscious choice because he's supposed to not be who he is. Like, yeah, kind of thing. Like, was he trying to get more of an accent to keep up of like, oh, this is where this will, Ephraim Winslow was from. Like, and does he
Hmm.
actually talk different? And that's him losing the accent and, what he's doing. Or was that just him struggling in the acting? I don't know. Again, it makes you crazy.
But yeah, Willem Dafoe was, man, he was amazing in this, I think.
He was phenomenal. He's just so good at giving it his all. Like he has
Hmm.
no qualms and being batshit crazy.
Him and Nick Cage have that quality.
Yeah, they do. Like they share that just unhinged, I give it my all.
I
And
will take it there.
I will take it there. Yes, that is like, I feel like one of his mantras probably is, I will take it there.
And there's some scenes with them like I just love the way he like looks or the way he's like just laying there like a little
Like I said, little drunken moth.
yeah, like a little drunken moth.
That was how I saw him. One of my favorite scenes was probably the scene when they're talking about the food and he's basically like, I don't like your
Mm-hmm.
cooking. And then he's like, but you're fond of me lobster.
And he was like, how dare you insult my
and
cooking? And
and
then
then he gave like a harrowing, like seaman, like monologue.
curse. I was like, that was the curse of all curses.
Yes. He cursed him to hell and back.
And he's like, fine, I like your cooking.
Yeah. And then again, you get more fever dream shots of him like jerking off to his little mermaid thing in a shed
I
and
know. I was like,
like
unnecessary.
unnecessary. And more drunken nights of like them drunkenly dancing together and then slow dancing and then being like, what the fuck, bro? Like there's a lot of homoeroticism a bit in
Yes,
it as
there is.
well.
I love the slow dancing scene. I thought that was adorable. Because girls do that all the time, and then they're not like, "Oh God, get off me." You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yeah, they're just
Like
like,
drunk girls slow
okay,
dancing it all the
we're
time.
done dancing. That was what we were
Yeah,
doing. Like it doesn't mean anything more than what it is sometimes.
right.
But of course, in movies like this and with men like that, who knows what it means?
Yeah, maybe it does mean that for them.
So then it gets to this time again. Like I said, Willem Dafoe's been kind of gaslighting him a little bit, saying like, "Oh, you didn't do this," but like when he's clearly doing it, or he's like, "You didn't scrub the floors," when he's like, "No, I did it like twice. This place is just a fucking shithole, basically."
Yeah,
So again, you don't know who to trust. You don't know who's right and who's wrong. And when you start seeing the, like Robert Pattinson's character being just as shady and weird, like as Willem Dafoe's, you're like, okay, let's see what happens next.
and like you said, I don't care what happens to either one of these weirdos.
Yeah, kind of. Or you're just like this is where we're going, I guess, because then we get the why'd you spill your beans? Because it's
Yeah.
a night where he's like, I trust you, man, I trust you. And he's gonna relieve his conscience, and then he tells basically what he did. This is where I saw someone else compare it to like, yeah, like, oh, it's also him. Willem Dafoe is supposed to be Sharon, who gets you like who judges you like going when you're going through the River of Styx and stuff, and like where he's gonna end
You
up.
have been found guilty.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of why they think like, oh, it's why he's telling him like, oh, don't spill your beans to me. It was like, I don't want to
Hmm.
know, because once he knows, he has to judge you. Like, so that was also something that people picked up on, because yeah, shortly after that is when I guess we get to what you would call the big climax.
Ew.
This is another scene of the where you don't know what you can trust, because it shows Robert Pattinson then running away later from Willem Dafoe, because this is when you think he sees the head was a little later, and he kind of admits to him that, where he's like, you're not innocent either, I think you killed the other guy.
Hmm. They found his
And
head.
yes, everything just starts
But then you're
getting
like, did he really
bigger.
find his head?
Yeah, but did he really? And then they still seem to be though hanging out at different times, because they have this, and he's like, well, I can take the smaller boat and try to go get us relief, and help and all of this, but Defoe fucks it up, and then he runs inside, and then later Defoe's like, but why did you fuck up the buoy or the little
Yeah,
boonie boat,
immediately afterwards.
yeah. And so you're like, wait, you're like, but I saw that, but can you trust what you saw, because it's also showed all this other crazy shit with the mermaids and the like, so you just don't know. And that's,
Right.
yeah, that's kind of how it goes, I guess, without to like really, because this is one I feel like I have to tell you, you have to watch it. So I hope that if you're listening to this, you've already watched it. Otherwise, you're just not going to know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, because it
It's
was Pretty crazy.
It's crazy. It's too much to really explain. Like, I feel like we've explained it as cohesively as possible. The shots are just amazing. So, yeah, so we get to a point where after their first kind of, like I said, the build up to the ending, they kind of seem cool again, but they're also at this point it shows them because like I said, the rations are supposed to have been low and everything. They're just drinking the oil now, aren't they?
They're just drinking kerosene.
Kerosene. There we go. I was like, I knew it
Yeah.
was something specific, and I could not think of like the type that it was. That I was like, I know it's something you could drink to get like drunk on, kind of, but like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
Yeah. Like, no wonder you went crazy. You're drinking kerosene.
yeah, because then they're like monkey pump, and then they're like drinking the fucking kerosene, and
And
like,
then, okay, well, the way the light was shaking, was that supposed to be them doing each other?
oh, I don't know. Yeah, like you really don't. Like nothing's like guaranteed in this movie.
Yeah. That scene where he's fixing the shingle on the roof and he sees him like humping the bed.
Yeah, and I think he's supposed to be like fingering himself. It was hard to see what it was, but I saw someone else's review and they were like, "Why is he watching him fingering himself?" And I was like, "Is that what was going on?"
I
Because it was
didn't see
hard to
that.
tell. It was really hard to tell. Like because I didn't know what he was looking at when I was watching it. I was like
Oh, I
trying
knew
to.
it was him like sticking his looked like he was up in the bed.
Oh my god, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that's what I said. I was like, why is he watching? Mind your business.
I know.
Unless I'm like, maybe that's why he wanted him up there on the roof so he could see him doing that to himself.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. You don't know because then you get the really weird shit where so then the house pretty much gets almost like flooded and demolished practically from like the huge storms that are still going on and the waves go through and they had been drunk off their asses on this kerosene and he keeps like a logbook. Willem Dafoe does because he's like, I'm the one in charge
Mm.
and I'll write good about you and blah blah blah. And then he finally sees the logbook, and it's just him like judging him and talking massive shit and telling him like they shouldn't even pay him and stuff, like all
Yeah.
this crazy stuff. And then this is when he like really like just loses it. And let's talk about the dog walking scene.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck was that?
What the fuck was that one? Like, was
And
that just
why would he do it?
I well, I guess because at that point though he had already been beating the shit out of him, and then because he's like,
Yeah.
"Stop, stop! You're gonna kill me." So then that's why he's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, be a good boy." But now it is like to the point of eroticism. I think like where you're like, okay, so you're just making him your bitch, and then you're gonna bury him alive, like.
Yeah.
And again, that's where I guess you would take the Greek story kind of from because he's wanting to take his, knowledge and the light from the lighthouse kind of thing and take over while simultaneously like throughout kind of like at one point had been begging him to be like give me another chance and I'm going to work hard and like you're so experienced, so it's like you just don't know, like you don't get the relationship. Is it that of call like a mentor and mentee, like is it like this kind of underlying like gay like lovers kind of thing, like also it's just like two strange men going mad together, like
All right. Well, I'm saying the kerosene did not help.
no. And the scene though where he is like burying him alive or whatever, and Willem Dafoe's like saying like his big like speech in this moment and basically tells you kind of what's happening a little bit in so many words. But when he's just getting there and having that dirt thrown in his face, and that's when I
Mhm.
was like, Willem Dafoe is a fucking actor.
Yeah, he is.
Because
Acting.
the way he did it, and he just like, I mean, just come on, impressive. And the lighting was phenomenal in that scene too. Like the shots were like I think I've already said it before, but all of the shots were like really beautiful and harrowing and mesmerizing and terrifying at times. This movie's insane.
Yeah, it was insane. That is the word for it.
Because then the guy finally gets the key. He's finally going to get to the lighthouse. When he's getting ready to get up there, Willem Dafoe comes back for a sneak attack with an
With the
axe.
axe.
Yeah, with an axe. But doesn't fully get him, and then he gets axed himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Finally
that's
did.
the end of Willem as we know him.
Willem as we know him.
And he finally makes that climb and gets up there and it looks at the light, which also felt kind of like Pulp Fiction-y to me. Because like they're always like, what's in the briefcase? And it's just the light, shining out of the briefcase. And like
Oh,
you
I forgot
never,
about that.
yeah, and like you never get to see it, like so this is like the feeling I got with him, like looking at the light, and then we don't really see it.
Yeah, and it does stop and open by itself. So I was like, was that real?
Yeah, like what is this? And then yeah, and then you get the end of him just naked and being picked apart. Oh, and there was that other scene too where when they were first like him and Willem Dafoe are fighting, and it does like that still moment where he is like where it literally was like a painting. Like
Yeah,
basically it
with
was like
him
a
with the light
painting
coming
shot.
out of him.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm.
Like those two scenes, like, and that's where I felt like you do when they said some of the stuff they reference, like that's where you really could see like how heavily they were inspired by some of them art, of styles of that.
I think that one actually was based
I
on a
think so,
painting.
right? A painting. Yeah. Cause I was like, that's a specific painting, right? Like it definitely. And the way they did it and the way it's cut and edited as well. Like again, fever dream is the only description. I love that he got picked apart by the gulls, though. That was my favorite part. I'm like, that's what you get, bitch. That's what you
Yeah.
get.
Vindication. I was like, well, you murdered their brother in front of them. So I don't know
Yeah,
what you were
they're
saying.
gonna be a little pissed about it.
I thought
What
it was
did
crazy that he was still alive during that. And I was like, how did he get out there naked when he just fell down the lighthouse stairs?
I mean, I don't he probably crawled out there. Who knows? I don't know if you're supposed to know at this point. It was
Yeah.
it's just one of those movies.
It's just one of those movies.
Yep. So overall, what did you think?
Yeah, it was fucking batshit. I will probably not watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed the style, like
Mm-hmm.
the cinematography and everything. It was very unsettling.
Yes.
The music was unsettling. I thought the acting, like you said, William Dafoe was great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a fucking trip.
Yeah. This is one where I feel like I would maybe watch it one more time now that I know how it ends and like I know the whole thing. This would be one I would think would be fun to go back to see what you missed, or like maybe what was foreshadowing, what isn't. Like I could get watching it another time. I don't think I'll do it anytime soon. Like it's not one that
Hmm.
I could be like, oh, I gotta immediately watch it again to see what I missed.
Right.
No, it's a little it's a little much. But now knowing what I know and then watching it again at a later point, I could give it a shot. I gave it like 3.5. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people are like 4 and 5 stars, and I do think it's great. But because the rewatchability factor for me
Right.
is somewhat of like, like it is a piece of art for sure. But I do feel like Robert Pattinson's could have been slightly stronger, like, and played off of Willem Dafoe, and I would have been more of a 4 star for me then.
Hmm. He didn't bother me in it. Like I thought he was fine.
Yeah, he didn't bother me in it. I don't know. I was like, if Willem Dafoe's giving you that, you got to match it just a little bit more. There were a
You
couple of
gotta,
scenes where he did, but then there was some where I was like, okay, I was just kind of a little bored with him.
yeah.
Or maybe that was just because of the nature of the movie, though. It is a little intense in certain scenes, but then it was kind of the subject matter at hand would be kind of boring and slogging, which I feel like was supposed to be the point, to get you in that mindset. But I don't want to feel like that all the time when I watch movies.
One scene I did like when Robin Pattinson was bringing the coal up and he was already starting to lose it, and his wheelbarrow was like full of water and had
Yeah.
like just a tiny bit of coal in it, like all sloshing around.
See, those little points were the more well done for me of the drudgery, because like when he's emptying out the like piss pots or whatever and the shit just flies in his face and he's like, ah. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm also like, why would you do it there? Like, are you dumb? Like, of course it's gonna fly back.
Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, why are you going all the way out to the rocks?
Yeah, that's where some of it I'm like, okay, what is this?
Yeah.
Welp, guys, that was the lighthouse.
That was the Lighthouse.
Let us know if you've watched it or what you thought of it. And you can do that, as always, finding us at Film Gazers on the social medias, Instagram, TikTok. You can also buy us a popcorn. That link is available in our link tree info and everything. Jess also normally puts it on the YouTube, but apparently YouTube flagged one of ours the other day and said it was spam and being like, I don't know what was the word, basically shady kind of was what it was saying, but it was like, no, it distinctly says what it is, and everyone else seems to use these links and not have
I
problems.
know. I
So
was like, this is literally where ChatGPT told me to
it's
put it.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It's because we're small time. I think
Yeah,
it's so
it's
hard
like,
now. They really throttle like the algorithms and small time creators like us, it feels like sometimes. Just look on, though, our actual link tree if you are on YouTube, because if we have to quit doing the links in there, whatever.
yeah. I mean, it's still in the show notes for the
Exactly.
episodes.
On all of that. So you can find us there. And we again are going to be doing the 100th episode. I think we're going to try to implement like just a couple of fun segments, maybe, or something like within that episode. Maybe it'll be a little like longer, than normal. We'll have to discuss it better. I know we both have had different ideas and stuff. So just please make sure you tune in. That would be really fun. That will be the Cable Guy. It will be our 100th episode, and it will be the last episode of the March Madness.
Yes, and keep an eye out on our social medias so we can announce some giveaways.
Giveaways. So, time to hit the dusty trail.
Until next time,
Later,
later taters.
taters.
We did it.
We did it.